Today we're reading Acts 25, verses 1 through 12. Now when Festus was come into the province, after 3 days he ascended from Caesarea to Jerusalem. Then the high priest and the chief of the Jews informed him against Paul and besought him, and desired favor against him that he would send for him to Jerusalem, laying in wait in the way to kill him. But Festus answered that Paul should be kept at Caesarea, and that he himself would depart shortly thither. Let them therefore, said he, which among you are able, go down with me and accuse this man, if there be any wickedness in him. And when he had tarried among them more than 10 days, he went down into Caesarea, and the next day, sitting on the judgment seat, commanded Paul to be brought. And when he was come, the Jews which came down from Jerusalem stood round about, and laid many and grievous complaints against Paul, which they could not prove. While he answered for himself, neither against the law of the Jews, neither against the temple, nor yet against Caesar have I offended anything at all. But Festus, willing to do the Jews a pleasure, answered Paul and said, Wilt thou go up to Jerusalem, and there be judged of these things before me? Then said Paul, I stand at Caesar's judgment seat, where I ought to be judged. To the Jews have I done no wrong, as thou very well knowest. For if I be an offender, or have committed anything worthy of death, I refuse not to die. But if there be none of these things whereof these accuse me, no man may deliver me unto them. I appeal unto Caesar. Then Festus, when he had conferred with the council, answered, Hast thou appealed unto Caesar? Unto Caesar shalt thou go. When Festus takes over as governor, he goes to Jerusalem to meet with key leaders, no doubt looking to make some allies to make his reign easier. The Jewish leaders see this as an opportunity to kill Paul and try to convince him to bring Paul to Jerusalem so they can try him. Luke points out that they really didn't have any plans to try him. They were trying to kill him on the way while he was in transit from Caesarea to Jerusalem. But Festus doesn't fall for their plan and instead invites them down to Caesarea for a hearing. This hearing starts off much like the last one, just a few years earlier. They accuse him of breaking the Jewish law, even lying to make their case against him. Paul defended himself again, pointing out that he had not broken the law, nor had he offended the temple, nor had he done anything against the Roman government. Festus can apparently see there is not much to their case, but he really wants to win the support of the Jewish leaders. So he asks Paul if he'd be willing to go to Jerusalem and stand trial before the Sanhedrin with himself present. And I'm sure this response surprised Festus. Paul points out that he's being tried in a Roman court and he has rights as a Roman citizen. He points out that if they can't bring any charges here that can be proven, then they wouldn't be able to do so in a Jerusalem court either. He then forces Festus to act. I appeal unto Caesar. Festus was obviously surprised as he took time to meet with his council. But a Roman citizen had a right to appeal to Caesar and to be sent to Rome. So Festus had little choice but to grant his request. You see, Paul had wanted to preach in Rome. Certainly his plan was to do so on his own, as a free man. But he knew the pull of the Jewish leaders was strong, and these useless hearings would continue. So he used the power of the Roman government to get what he wanted. They would take him to Rome. If I've said it once during this trip through Acts, I've said it a dozen times. Isn't it amazing to see how God works? Why not let Him work in your life today?